Jumpin' In on Manx Radio.
With Howard and Chris Kane.
Hello.
Bonjour.
And welcome. Oui, ça va, and all the rest of it, because it is Jumping In, of course, on a Saturday night here on Manx Radio, and it's a bit of a Brussels Jazz special with myself, H.
And me, Chris. Yes, welcome away to this week's show as the pace of the Isle of Man returns to a more sedate rate as TT's over for another year, but don't forget the MGP from the 18th to the 26th of August to look forward to, round about the same time as exam results, of course. But for now, we'd like to transport you to Brussels to revisit some of our favourite moments from this year's Brussels Jazz Weekend a couple of weeks ago. So, H, what was your favourite act this year, and which gave you the festival feeling by being a freak off the old block, and what was worth weathering Le Tempête for?
Yes, well, I think we both agreed that the favourite act definitely was the Don Marsh Five, the Don Marsh Quintet of Don Marsh Five. We both really enjoyed those. We'll be playing some of them. I think you've got something lined up for them. Music I'll be playing as well includes the music of Enrico Piranuzzi by the Brussels Jazz Orchestra, the wonderful, although sadly I didn't see him at all on the programme this year, Ben Sluis, and another group I really enjoyed, which was the Trio Macondo.
And from me, well, we pamper the Piscavores. We're down in the dumps. We're a bit dear in the east, and to start off with, The One That Got Away. Here's Piano Groove from the Brussels Jazz Orchestra. The inimitable fancy fretwork of guitarist and Belgian national treasure Philippe Catherine with Bert Joris and the Brussels Jazz Orchestra, who, despite being all over the festival website and their advertising for this year's festival, was notable by his absence. As indeed with the Brussels Jazz Orchestra, Philippe, now 81, is still touring, I'm glad to say, and was playing at another festival this weekend, but he slimmed down his programme to a couple of gigs a month, and why not? He was undoubtedly missed, as indeed with the orchestra, who have given many years live albums recorded at the festival, fronted by different soloists indeed, as was this one, a recording from 2005, the album Meeting Colours, and the track was a Philip original piano groove, where ironically there is no piano, but he very ably fills the slot, and we hope to see him back at the festival in years to come.
Absolutely, you never know. It's always great seeing him out at Sounds at about 2 o'clock in the morning doing a 2-hour set. But maybe those days have gone. I don't know. I mean, you can't go on forever, can you? It is Jumpin' In, Chris and H with you through until the top of the hour with our Belgian Jazz Brew Jazz Wee special, celebrating some of the music we saw and some of the music we've seen in the past, or from the Belgian jazz scene. One band which I wasn't actually familiar with their work beforehand, but I am now, and really enjoyed, was Macondo, Trio Macondo, the union of the Beninese drummer Angelo Mustafa, who has actually worked with Philip Catherine in the past, and Lionel Luecki, and the winner of numerous awards, as was pointed out on the day, including the Best Drummer of Africa 2017 and also Talent d'Afrique 2021. And he teams up with Belgian saxophonist Sylvain Debessier, essential player in the jazz and improvised music scene in Belgium, and he's played with the likes of Stéphane Galland and Pentadox and Lynn Cassé and such like. And they also added the talented Italian double bassist Federico Stocchi, who has played, or at least won the Toots Thielsen Award in 2018. Wonderful stuff. Sort of it's almost tribal at times, jazzy, definitely got an African influence. Have a listen to this track, which is just called Macondo. Good stuff. The drums to the fore there. The drummer Angelo Mustafa with Trio Macondo, and they performed that one live on the stage at the Grand Place at the Bruxelles Jazz Week 2024 this year. It's in the rain, I must admit, so it wasn't quite as African as it might have been, I don't think. But great sound. It's jazzy, it's got folky, definitely got that strong African influence, sort of minimalistic, maybe. If you read off their own site off Bandcamp, they say inspired by African hymns or trips to Europe. The melodies are built on cyclical and captivating bass lines, or quite repetitive, I suppose, in many ways. The listener carried away by the flow and energetic sound of the trio, plenty of energy certainly, and engrossed in the repetitive patterns and confusing grooves. They share voices, exchange high-level solos and improvisations, always in the spirit of dialogue and communion with the public. And they were good to watch live, I must admit. And I was trying to buy the album while I was there, but unfortunately they could only take cash, and we just didn't have any cash. And these days it is very difficult to find cash because there aren't any cash machines anymore. So I had to go for the download. But there we go.
Yes, now one thing to take into account at festivals, I mean, incidentally, no longer Brew Jazz Week, no longer the Brussels Jazz Marathon, it is now very much Brussels Jazz Weekend. Every year, another marketing manager. But the one thing to take into account at festivals when the majority of the large stages are outside is the weather. And over the years in Brussels, we've had everything from temperatures in the 30s to hail, and this year, sunshine and showers sort of affair. And wouldn't you know it, we had thunderstorms and torrential downpours through all of my favourite acts of the weekend. Still, while it may have dampened the crowd, it didn't stop the bands from playing some thrilling music. Bassist Laura Rossille has 2 releases to her own name, an octet and a quintet, and for the festival, she's combined the 2 of them for the Laura Rossille Orchestra. And here from her 2022 quintet recording, Heart, here's Fisher's Dishes. Fish's dishes, perhaps apt as they could have been swimming around with the amount of water that fell from the sky, taken from bassist Laura Russell's Heart album with Sam Floymans on trumpet, Vitia Powell's on guitar, who also opened this year's festival with a solo set, but nice to hear him in a band setting, Francois on percussion and vibes, and Angelo Mustafa on drums and percussion with Laura on bass. And despite the weather, the crowd spirits weren't dampened. We can only hope that the Arc Orchestra, as they called themselves, can get together in the studio for perhaps the third album.
Indeed, yeah. I'm going back to one we heard a bit earlier on, the Brussels Jazz Orchestra next, which are a great band, and they've, again, collaborated with all sorts of people. One, actually, I'm thinking I've got in the bag for next week or the week after, which is a collaboration with the great guitarist Bill Frisell from his latest Orchestra's album on Blue Note. Well, this is the music of Enrico Pieranunzi, the wonderfully prolific Italian pianist who's still going strong. I saw him live once, I think, at the Blue Note in New York many years ago with Paul Motion on drums. Wonderful stuff it was, cracking night, still remember it now. But he, again, God knows how many albums he's brought out under his own name, and also as a sideman with various other bands. But he must have hundreds, I think, certainly, of albums just under his own name. This one was recorded live on the 22nd and 23rd of August 2014 at De Verf in Bruges at the festival there. All the compositions by Enrico Pieranunzi, the arrangements by Bert Joris, and let's hear a waltz, Fellini's Waltz. Lovely stuff. I do like a bit of 3/4. Oh yeah, they're still there. I almost forgotten that was live. It's such a lovely, clean recording. Cracking stuff. Fellini's Waltz, the music of Enrico Pieranunzi, as interpreted by Bert Joris and the Brussels Jazz Orchestra in 2013. Or 2014, in fact. And in the liner notes, Enrico himself says, big bands have great tradition in jazz history, and the BJO keeps the flame of the tradition burning at the highest level. It's a privilege for me to have had my music performed by and with this wonderful ensemble. I'd like to thank the musicians in the BJO one by one, but it'd probably take too much space on the booklet. Yes, I'd agree. So just to say, a cracking band, sadly absent from this year's Brussels Jazz Weekend, Brew Jazz Week, whatever you want to call it, Jazz Marathon as it started out when we first started going. But as we were chatting, as we were listening to that, down to probably maybe logistics, maybe money, maybe, I mean, at the end of the day, a trio or quartet are much easier to stage than a 22-piece big band.
Having said that, they have shifted the additional jazz festival, which is now the International Brussels Jazz Festival, which is in around about January time at Flagy, and they were appearing there. So maybe the weight has gone more towards that. Others better Arts Council support or budget or whatever it is. Who knows? Now, we did mention the odd shower blighted the programme in certain places, and this next band was not only the one I wanted to see most, but possibly the one who suffered the most with a downpour that even shifted those touting umbrellas and full wet weather gear. But the band soldiered on with a terrific set as we all crowded together under the balcony of the town hall opposite the stage, the building of which originally began in 1401. The band were one of the high spots of the weekend nonetheless, and the album doesn't disappoint. Here's the Don Marsh Five with Bog Blues. The Don Marsh Five with Bog Blues, taken from their debut release, Marshland. And who is Don Marsh, I hear you cry? Well, he isn't. As was explained at the festival, Brussels, the name comes from the Old Dutch Brukskel, meaning settlement in the marsh, or marshland, and the pianist, bandleader and composer Wouter van den Broek's name is Marsh. So he added the nominal Don in the name. The album is indeed a set centred around the Marshland Suite, which is in the form of a sonata, lyrical, melodic and reminiscent of many ECM recordings. However, as that track showed, they can also swing, and I'm sure the lineup of saxophonist Wouter den Put, drummer Matthijs de Veil, bassist Janos Bruneel and Belgian top trumpeter Jean-Paul Estevignaat will get together for further recordings and performances, and that Wouter van den Broek, or the Don Marsh Five, will be ones to watch.
Another one I've really enjoyed over the years at Brussels Jazz has been the saxophonist Ben Sluis. Often, at least I've seen him performing on his own with his own quartet, and he's also been sometimes with the wonderful Italian pianist Augusto Piroda. We've seen them in a couple of small club settings. Sadly, again, couldn't find them anywhere on the list this year, or at least they were very well hidden. Still, we'll hear them now from one of Ben's own albums, True Nature, from about 2004, I think it was. And this is Old Demons.
Hello, this is Katrine Windfeldt from Denmark, and you're listening to the Manx Radio Jumping In with Chris and H.
Oh yeah, a little bit of a twofer there for you. Great stuff of Belgian descent, as it were. First off, we had the wonderful Ben Sluis and his quartet from an album, True Nature, of 2004. I think I said that was. Yeah, October 2004. It was recorded at Brussels, at Studio Jet in Brussels. Ben Sluis on sax there, Jeroen van Hiltze on tenor, Manolo Cabras, Manolo Cabras, very popular on the Belgian scene. Didn't see him knocking around this year either. Nor, indeed, a man who was common to those two recordings, Mark Patronen, on the drums, because straight off the back of Ben Sluis, we heard Stefan Mercier quartet from the album Walking the Soul Map, with Stefan himself, of course, on sax and flute on some tracks as well. Charles Luce, very prevalent again on the Belgian jazz scene, and prodigious producer of music and albums. Bas Koolmans on acoustic bass, and as I say, Mark Patterman again on drums, and he also does some other percussion on that track. Wonderful swinging stuff, that one as well.
And it's it's been a great festival as usual. That is about it for this festival special. And despite the rain, we still wallowed in beer, frites, and of course chocolates. And it would be safe to say we'll be likely to return in the future. The very fact that there are around 200 concerts spread across multiple venues and open spaces across the course of the weekend, and we got back to the wonderful Place St Catherine as well. They had a lot of young and upcoming musicians, many of whom haven't recorded at all yet, but all the concerts are free, and that's quite an achievement and makes Brussels a special festival with something for everyone. We can just about fit in a track by another great band led by pianist and composer Kari Ikonen and saxophonist Manuel Hermia, and this quartet call themselves an orchestra and describe themselves as one of the most important orchestras on the moon, or as one journalist put it, highly flammable material. Well, with Caribou, we'll let them tell you themselves.
Yeah, let's hope it's sunny again next year in Brussels.
See you next week. Bye for now.
Now